All right, good evening, everyone. So let's start today's session. So last week, someone in the group sent a message asking about the project and asked for a full-fledged example. So I'm going to uh, run through the process of UX design and development for the project first. After that, we will go through our slides and finish UX flows as well. So first of all, I think every one of you already read the project description and understand what you have to deliver. So these are the deliverables. So you have to deliver the Figma link and the presentation. You don't have to do the presentation using PowerPoint or anything. You can just present your idea and thought process during the project. All right. Now, if I guide you through how to approach, how to do the UX process regarding this particular project, first, let's give you some example using one of my case studies. So first thing that you have to do is here, even in our UX process. All right. In second week, I think we discussed about the UX process. So the first thing you have to do is empathize with the users. So in travel application, you have to understand who your target users are, what they look like, what are their behaviors you can expect when they download your application. So those things that what you can do is you can empathize with your users and do research. So in here, we discuss what problems they have. You should ask these questions when you come up with a uh, design before you come up with a design. What problems users face when using current applications, or if they are not using any applications, what are the practical problems they face when finding a travel destination or a place to stay? So what they need, what they expect from your application, what they think about your application, and what are the problems in existing apps. So you have to make sure that you ask these questions yourself and think about your users really well. It is a good practice if you can interview few users, maybe some of your friends, and get an idea, an insight about what their travel experiences are and what are the problems they are facing when they try to book a hotel or a travel destination or anything. So it will give you good insights for your research as well. And then interview questions. You can ask questions such as, why do you go to, why are you traveling? What is the purpose? Some,
Excuse me, sir.
yeah,
You're not sharing the screen.
okay, I'm sorry. Um, Let me share my screen. Thank you. Okay. Now in the I was describing about this process. So the first part is empathize, then define, ideate, prototype, and test. So in the empathize phase, we have to understand the problem's existence. So in order to do that, what I was mentioning is like you have to ask questions. What are the problems that people are facing, even if they are using your application or any other application, or if they are not using any application and trying to book a travel using traditional ways like calling agents and so on. So they will tell you these are the problems we are facing when trying to book a hotel or try to travel to somewhere. So you have to ask questions to understand your users. So you have to understand what are the problems they are facing, what they expect from your application, what they need actually, what they think about your application, and what are the problems they are facing in existing apps if they are using one of them already. So these are some good practices that you should follow if you are doing a UX design for a company or your own freelancing project. So if you have time, you can interview some of your friends and ask them questions about what are the things they can, uh, what are the problems they are facing? How are their traveling experiences? What are the obstacles? What do you expect from a traveling app? So you can ask those questions. So these are some questions that you can ask. In the traveling app, you can ask, why do you travel? And what do you expect from traveling? Do you use any other traveling application? And if it is, what are they? What are the problems they're facing when interacting with that particular application? What features you need to have in your application? So those are the questions that you can ask from your users, your end users, before you start off with the UX designing process. So these are the detailed information about those questions. So I'm not going to go into these in detail because I already did it in the first or second week. All right, then you have to do competitor analysis. So in the competitor analysis, you have to understand who are your direct and indirect competitors are. Now you are creating a travel application. So competitors, if I say TripAdvisor or Booking.com or any other Hotel.com or any other application, uh, you can research about it online. You can download their mobile application and experience it yourself and understand what are the good things in that particular application, and get some idea about and get some inspiration to do your design and your research. So competitor analysis, as you have very short period of time to do this assignment. So what you can do is you can go to these competitors, Google Play Store or Apple App Store, and read their reviews. And maybe you can ask one of your friends who are already using that particular application about their experience and get an idea about your competitors and what are the things that you should follow that competitors do well and what are the things that you should avoid. All right. Then it is also important to conduct a competitive analysis. So you will get a better idea about what are the trends in current market. What can you do to get more users to your application? So those are the things that you will learn when doing competitive analysis. And then you have to create personas. So I only ask you to create one persona. So I expect you to create a one user story. So maybe let's say you are only following one user story. So create a user persona for that particular person. So let's say Tom. Tom is a traveler. He is into software and IT field, and try to mention a few details about him, his demography, his background, what are the things he like to do when they're traveling, is he going with his family or things like that. Try to build a story around that person by creating a persona. I already discussed how to create a persona. I showed you a template as well. If you Google the term UX persona, you will find enough templates and you can follow the same structure. So what is user persona? We discussed. So personas are important in the process for you to build empathy, provide direction for making design decisions, and communicate research findings. So those are the things that personas will give you if you are creating a good persona. Is actually the last 2 points. If you are working with a team, it will really beneficial. But for the assignment's purpose, you can build empathy by creating this kind of a persona. So you get to know about your use very well before you do the design. So these are the things that you should include in your persona. And then after that, I'm sorry, 1 second. Okay, after creating user story, user persona, you have to create a user flow. User flow is something like this. I think we already discussed about it as well. So for an example, let's say I download an application from Apple App Store. So that is the starting point. And then I sign up by filling out a form, email address, username, password, and things like that. And I press the sign up button. So after that, they will guide me to a landing page. In the landing page, we have options such as book a travel destination, hotels. So users will click on those and follow that user flow. So I want you to create only one user flow. Let's say for an example, after downloading the app, they sign up for an account, and then we display some information in the dashboard like we did last week. So like this one, this kind of information. We can show them what are the popular destinations, what they can do, and the search bar. So it is up to you to decide what are the elements that you should include in the dashboard. And then, okay, so when they come to dashboard, they will click on a certain card, and follow that process. So you don't have to design all the user flows. Just think of a one user flow and create it from the beginning to end. So beginning will be signing up and end goal will be they book a hotel or a hotel stay successfully. And that is user flow, and user flows are important. And then if I go to lecture number 3, okay, we discuss about color psychology and color theory, typography, style guide up to here. So these are the things that you need to do your assignment. So if I quickly show you one of my case studies in the website, so this is actually for a SME to help people to find promotions closer to them. So it has geolocation, and also, let's say for an example, if person is traveling near a store, if the store has particular promotion, it will send the users push notification regarding the promotion if they have this application installed. So the first thing I did was the introduction. So this is the problem that I'm trying to solve. So I created the diagram. So users will walk through uh, some geolocation, and they will uh, get a push notification regarding the discount that they are getting if they visit that store. So the audience and users are the dealers and the users. These are the target audience demographic. And these are some pain points uh, about product's growth. Product needs to be sell itself and positive word of mouth. So we have to develop an application that people will like. So they will tell other users that this is a good application. So that is our strategy. We are not going to advertise much, but word of mouth is the way to go about when we are launching this particular application. The success, when I ask the question, what is the success that you think by creating this kind of application, you can ask this question from your client. So they will tell their requirement is to create a professional looking end-to-end iOS and Android app, both valued and intuitive for end users. So this is the success goal, that this is the thing that client is expecting from you when doing a design or a mobile application. So this is rough information about what they can do in the application. So this is the solution we came up with. So as I discussed earlier, this is the process I followed when designing this application. I first did the research. Actually, research has few other steps as well. As I discussed, we have to empathize with the user when we have to interview them and get to know their background, as well as create user personas, sometimes user stories, user flow diagrams, and everything comes under this research phase. And extract insights, uh, you gather those information and you extract them. You only get a certain amount of information that you really need to do your design. So you extract those information and create maybe a user persona or user flow diagram and so on by following those raw data that users are giving you. And then we are going to ideate and sketch. In ideate and sketch space, in the travel application, what you can do is you can quickly do a wireframe by using pencil and paper. So this is how my sign up page should look like. This is how my dashboard or a login page should look like. So if you have the good user flow diagram, you can simply create uh, screens by following that. So after creating the wireframe, so in real world, actually, we have to send it back and forth for the client and for the users to get feedback. But in the assignment, you don't have to do that. You can directly go to design and prototype part. In the design and prototype, you have to do like fine tune your wireframes and create a low fidelity or high fidelity prototype by using Figma application. And then finally design evaluation and build. So this up until here is what you required in this particular assignment, what you have to do. So all these are the complete design process. So you don't have to worry about this. So in the research, what I did was I searched different terms in Google Trends. and I read some research papers and extract insights. So these are some competitors uh, for that particular application. So it for the travel app, it can be booking.com or TripAdvisor and so on. So you can like make a list of the things that application plus points and the negative points of that particular application, and then you can ideate. So these are some simple sketches I did for that particular application. And then this is low fidelity prototypes where I use the tool called Pencil to create low fidelity prototypes. So as you can see, there are no any colors or images involved, but just the placement and the hierarchy of the data are there. And then this is the onboarding process. So onboarding process, when the users download your application for the first time, we want them to sign up. So this is the sign up screen. They can sign in using Facebook, and they have to switch on the location to use this particular application. So what is the tool name again? So for the low fidelity prototype, I use a tool called Pencil. It is a free and open source application. I actually did this application few time ago, few years ago actually. But right now you can use applications such as Figma Jam or even Figma itself to create low fidelity prototypes. So this is the onboarding process, and these are some screens. So in that particular application, my main screen is the map. So I focused on the map and I displayed it here. And we have a list view as well. And finally, the presentation. So, all right. All right. I think it's clear now. Rifat, do you have any questions regarding the process? Do you want more information about it? Anyone else? Any questions regarding the assignment? Okay, what is the format that we should submit the final prototype? So you have to share the Figma link to the high fidelity design and interactive prototype. You just have to uh, add the Figma link to your Google Classroom. If there's a presentation to go with your design, you can add the presentation file as well, attach it. Clear? Okay, cool. Any questions regarding the assignment? Anyone?
So can you explain how to do brainstorming or something?
Okay, okay. So in the brainstorming, this application is a design a travel experience application. So as I mentioned earlier, the brainstorming process contains a few steps. For an example, you can start off by looking into some competitors' designs, or you can just go to website site Dribble and search for the term travel experience, travel applications, and so on. So it will give you an idea about what other people are designing. What are the things that we can do by using this kind of a design? You can get an inspiration. And then what you can do is you can interview few people. So in the brainstorming process, uh, you have to get to know about your users as well as the application. So if you interview few users, they will give you input about what they expect from your application. What are the problems they are facing with current applications they are using. So you have a good idea about how to avoid those mistakes and create a good application, give a good user experience for your users. And then what you can do is you can analyze few competitors. Let's say maximum or minimum two competitors you should analyze. So for an example, in the travel experience applications, we can analyze booking.com or hotel.com or even TripAdvisor and so on. So you have to go to their website, or maybe you download their mobile application and see what are the things that you can do, how to interact with the application, how you can book a hotel, how you can find a review about particular hotel. So you get to know about what are these applications are doing, and you uh, can experience it yourself firsthand. After that, you that is the brainstorming process actually. So by gathering all this information, you know what are the expectations of your users as well as what other competitors are doing. By gathering all this, by extracting all this information, you can go and create your own design by starting off with the wireframe and then moving on to the low fidelity and high fidelity prototypes. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone else? Any questions? All right. I have long questions. So basically, we should show the evidences of any research done, such as interviews and computed analysis by checking Google Play Store reviews. Read research papers, show what are the current market trends, then create a user persona to create empathy. Next, create a user flow, sketching and wireframe, following the design to create the prototype in Figma. All this should. Yes, actually, you don't have to show the evidence. If you can guide me through the process by presenting it, or just uh, I only expect you to create the design, but if you to create the design, you should have a better idea. You don't have to put the references or anything. This is not a assignment or a anything. This is just a capstone project to get to know what your design skills are and help you to create your own portfolio. So if you do your research really well, we can see it in your design. So even if you copy it from somewhere, I can see like you haven't done your research. So we will ask you a few questions. So if you know the process, it is good. So you don't have to show the, yeah, you can describe your presentation or the Figma design by just describing it. What is the process you followed from the beginning? What are the, if you have any supporting materials such as pencil and paper, sketches or wireframes you did, you can attach them and you can show them in the presentation as well. It don't have to be a fully completed presentation. You can just guide me through uh, the process. Yeah, PowerPoint presentation is not must. Yes, correct. You can use it to show your work. It is not must. So these are the things that you do. Share the Figma link and you can submit a presentation if you like. Otherwise, you can describe it to me in the presentation. Clear? Any more questions? Okay. Rifad, you can send a message in the group. Actually, last week I was kind of busy. That is why I couldn't reply sooner, but I replied after some time. So if you have any questions, ask in the group chat. So everyone else will also get to know. So ask in the group chat first. If I'm not replying you within certain period of time, just send me a private message as well. Clear? Okay. All right. Let's move on and do the UX loss. Okay. Last week we discussed about color psychology and color theory and typography and then the style guide. So today we have to discuss about UX loss and creating wireframes. I described about creating wireframes roughly, but I can go into more detail today in the presentation as well. Okay, the UX laws are the collection of laws or design standards that designers must take into account when thinking and improving the user experience. Yeah, Nadika is asking another question. Should we explain why we use certain colors or certain fonts? Yes, you have to rationalize your design, and when you do your presentation, you have to verbally tell why did you choose this particular color in your design and uh, why you didn't use this color and what is the purpose and what is the idea behind using that particular font face or a color. So you can just describe it in the presentation. Even if you do the design in your future, like in a company or even in a freelance project, you always have to rationalize your design decisions. So that is why I'm expecting you to do the same thing. Clear? Okay, cool. So the collection, okay. Number one is Hicks law. Hicks law states that users spend more time making a decision based on the number of complexity of choices. So in simple terms, it means that more choices you give your users, uh, more disappointed or more distracted they will become. So it will be like they won't make a decision easily. It will complex their decision-making process. The more choices you present your users with, the longer it will take them to reach a decision. If you have multiple tasks to complete within a limited time, you will take more time making a decision compared to if you have only two tasks to complete. So in Hicks law, it simply means that if you give more options to your users, it will take them more time to make a decision. Sometimes they won't make a decision at all. So what we can do to uh, reduce or eliminate this uh, issue, you can reduce the options for time critical tasks. The more choices you give your user, the longer it takes for them to make a decision. So for an example, in the left-hand side select box, we have so many options. How you are feeling today, awesome, amazing, great, fine, and so many. But on the right-hand side, we just have four. Awesome, good, not so good, and bad. So if user want to select one of these, they have to think about what are they exactly feeling. Am I feeling awesome or amazing? They have to differentiate between those feelings as well. So many options is not good. So if you can only give them these four options, they will easily select one of these options without any issue. So in this menu also, we have like users designer has given some options, the name of the product and the price and some description of the product. So you can clearly see they just can it doesn't provide so many options in the menu, just categorize them in a particular way that users can easily select one of these options. You can clearly see that these kind of a user experiences in applications such as when you try to order something online in particular application, let's say Uber Eats or even uh, franchise websites such as pizzahut.com or KFC, you can clearly see that these are ordered. Beverages are in one menu, and again, main courses are in one menu, and so on. So it will provide users to select what they want easily without thinking about all the options. So it is a good user experience when you are designing a website or a mobile application as well. And again, we have one-click buy options. Uh, Apart from providing so many details and everything, so you can provide buy now option for users in the product page itself. Otherwise, the users will have to add it to cart and then go back to their cart and check out from there. But if you provide this buy now button right here, they can just click on it and add their cart details and do the transaction easily without worrying. Number two, quick login option given. So as you can see in Quora or any other mobile application that you are using nowadays, they provide sign up using Google or Facebook or any other social media platforms that you are using. With ease up the signing up process, actually you don't have to manually type your email address or anything. You can just click on these buttons and and it will sign you up and you can use the application without wasting much time. Break down complex processes into smaller steps. So in here on the left hand side, you can see that there's a breadcrumb buttons. So the first step that users was the cart, and then now they are in the information. So that is the second step. So they can clearly go to cart if they require, and they can see that the next one is the shipment, and finally they can do the payment and get their uh, order complete. So that is another good practice. Break down complex process into smaller steps. So they get to know what is the step that they are in currently and what is the process that they have to follow as well. You can clearly see these kind of layouts in applications such as where we are asking for user inputs. So if I show you a live example, so this site is the one I'm working on these days, so that is why I'm always taking it. So in here also we have three-step process. The first step is to enter their location and date, and then item details, and finally personal details. So users will get to know and they have a clear idea about what they are doing right now and what they have to do and what they have done if they already completed steps 2 and 3. Okay, now next one, categorize choices to make them easier to search for and identify. So if you go to website like Netflix or Spotify, you can clearly see the categorized content based on their genres and comedies, Netflix originals, and they will recommend based on your interests as well. So it is another good user experience decision to categorize and show users what you think they like based on their recommendation and past activities. Okay, next one is highlight recommended options. So I think you already came across these kind of websites. The recommended action is highlighted and the other button is outlined. So in this way, you can tell users, so this is the recommended option. So most of the time, they will click the highlighted button rather than the other general button. Even here, we use recommended options in flight booking. Also, we show them recommended options in the dashboard. So the next one is Fit's law. The Fit's law states that the larger the distance and the smaller the size of the target, the longer it will take. The larger the distance and the smaller the size of the target, the longer it will take. So according to this law, fast movement and smaller targets result in greater error rates due to speed accuracy trade-off. All right. So in order to avoid this, what you can do is you can create larger targets. Targets means these call to action buttons. So if you have buttons like this, the smaller buttons, and the content is much larger, it won't it is not a good user experience for your users as well, because there will be some misclicks, and when they try to click on these, it is really hard. Go they have to pay full attention and go to that particular area and click the button. But when comparing to this one, it is really easy for them. So they can just move the button, move the cursor and click the button easily. It has larger target areas. Increase the surface of area of call to action buttons. So these surfaces are increased, these are not increased. So this is what we should avoid. Minimize movement. So if you put your call to action buttons somewhere here or somewhere far from your content, users have to do move their mouse or scroll the page if it is a mobile phone. So it is not a good user experience. You have to provide them uh, by thinking like you have to minimize users movement within the screen as well. Make some actions harder than others. So for an example, let's say you want to deactivate your Facebook account or a LinkedIn account. So in order to deactivate your account, you have to follow a very uh, long procedure. Actually, you have to go to settings and then you have to go to personal settings and then you have to find deactivate account button and then again you have to enter some details such as your password or any other thing that they are prompting, and then only you can deactivate account. But most of these companies don't like you to go from your uh, like don't like you to leave their account because uh, that is why they are making it so harder for you to deactivate accounts or close accounts from the from any social media or any platform that you are using. So the smaller your target area is, the longer it takes the user to perform the action based on distance size ratio. So clearly see that the larger buttons with the uh, big area, you can easily navigate and click them without worrying about misclicks or anything. So this one also have larger target areas. Users can easily enter their details such as email address, password, and so on. And also the buttons are larger when comparing to other contents in the website. Even in the Figma itself, they are following these guidelines. So even in Figma, Photoshop, or any image editing tool, they place commonly used functions together to reduce the custom cursor movements. So if you use, if you are already using applications such as Photoshop, Illustrator, or Lightroom, or even Figma, you clearly see that all the things that you require to do your design are in a similar place. So you don't have to worry about finding them. You can just go to the toolbar and drag whatever the component you like, and you do your designs easily. And even here, we have a larger call to action button. So it will highlight the screen, and also it is really easy for users to follow and click the button to perform the action. And in iPhone, to prevent frequent accidental shutdowns on their phones, Apple makes users swipe a slider to turn off their phone. So if they don't have this kind of a slider, so let's say if you accidentally click your power button on your phone, uh, it will switch off your phone, and it is actually using to prevent you from taking accidental actions by using your devices. And the resign of a power off, all users have to do is press the cancel button. So if they don't want to switch it off, they can click the cancel button and use their phone again. The cancel button's consequence doesn't compare to turning the phone off. So Apple makes it easier to accidentally press it. So as I mentioned, even in the other phones like such as Android or Windows or anything, they are asking you if you accidentally click a power off button, they will ask you for the confirmation. Even when you are sending money to someone, they will give you a prompt screen with the details. This is the how much you are sending. This is the account number. You can check if the details are correct, and you can undo or you can cancel if it is not. So it will prevent you from making accidental decisions or errors within the applications. So this is Fitts law for mobile devices. So here on the leftmost screen, the green color highlighted area is the neutral area for your right hand. So let's say you are holding your phone with a single hand. Let's say right hand. So this green color highlighted area is the area that you can reach within by using only one hand, by using your thumb or any other hand maybe. So all the other areas you have to stretch. So for the right hand side top, you have to you may have to use your two hands to reach that particular area. So some actions, so you have to always make sure to use this particular area, the neutral area, to give users better user experience. If you have call to action buttons, always place them on right hand side bottom or right hand side and the bottom of your screen. So if we combine these, both left and right hands, these are the neutral area for both your left and right hands. So it is a good practice to place your call to action and main buttons or main action steps in this green color highlighted area, and hard steps on right hand side or left hand side top. So this is the right hand uh, for the user. So this is the neutral area, and this, in order to reach this area, they have to stretch, and this is the hard area. They won't be able to use it using one hand, right hand. So that is actually Fitts law. And then Jacob's law. Jacob's law states that when users are used to using a product, then users build their expectations around one familiar product that appears similar. Because users spend most of their time on other sites, they expect your site to work in the same way as other sites they are already visited. So let's say you're creating a online shopping application, online shopping website. So users have already experienced this similar kind of application. They may be visited website like Amazon or even eBay or even Daraz. So they have some kind of experiences and prior experiences before they visiting your website. So they're expecting the same behavior from your website as well. So maybe they are expecting the search bar on top, or the product categories, or the menu with different products, and the checkout process, and the product description, and the images and everything. You have to follow the same standards that other competitors or other uh, online stores that set before you. So users are expecting this, and if you are not providing them with this expected behavior in your application, they will get confused, and they will have to learn the process all over, because what they learn from other sites is not working on your application. So they might leave your application in some cases. So if they desperate to buy the product, they will follow the user flow and buy it somehow, but the user experience is not streamlined. They won't come back to your website because they have to relearn the user flow and do the actions in your website. So you have to make sure you follow the same standards that other websites follow, because most of the users have prior experiences and they are expecting this behavior in your websites or a mobile application as well. So for instance, think how Amazon, Myntra, and most of the e-commerce sites behave. They follow similar patterns, similar checkout processes. Most of the mental models are almost the same. This way, users will focus on their task rather than learning new models. So if you try to avoid these things, if you try to avoid the standards and build your own design, it will give so much cognitive load for your users as well. So they won't be able to perform the tasks that they do. They won't be able to buy the product. They have to think about how to find the product. Where should I search? How should I perform this purchase? So those are the things they will try to find answers. They won't be able to buy the product. So always make sure to follow the standard guidelines and what your competitors already do. Both e-commerce websites are using same size selection option and following the buttons and information on the right side of the image and the image in the left. So in here also we have the image on the left and all the details on the right hand side, and the call to action buttons, add to bag or add to wish list, on the right hand side as well. So if you are developing an e-commerce application, you also have to follow the same pattern and same design if you want your users to uh, buy your applications, if you want your users to be a converted users. So A great example is designing a page with a search bar. Users are accustomed to seeing a search bar near the top of the page, often with a magnifying glass icon. So even in this screen, you can see the magnifying glass icon represent the search bar. So even if they don't have the search text here, users get to know that by clicking on this magnifying glass, they can search something in the website. So you have to follow that standard as well. In a designer, if a designer decides to place the search bar in a completely new place on the page, it can create confusion for the user. If they want to continue using your site, they have to relearn where their search bar is, taking the extra time. So users, actually, if you uh, read the statistics, if you uh, implement like software like Google Analytics in your website, users will spend very less time on your website, average about less than 7 seconds. So if you not following the design guidelines, if you're not giving them what they're expecting, they will get confused and they will leave your website. So you won't be able to make conversions even if you do advertisements or anything in social media or in. So you always make sure you follow the design and uh, guidelines that other websites already follow. All right. So in the Best Buy application, web application, they have search bar on top, and even if you go to other applications such as, let's say, eBay or Amazon.com, they have the search bar on top. So people who like to search, they can quickly search it, and people who like to visit to products and categories, they can navigate to them and find their product as well. So always make sure to place it in the right place, most of the time on top of the website. Okay, the next one is the Miller's Law. Miller's Law states that an average person can only keep 7 plus or minus in their working memory. Organizing content in smaller chunks will help users to understand, process, and memorize easily. So even if it is a sentence, human memory can only uh, memorize up to 7 words in a given time. So same thing applies for UX design as well. So if you try to give them so much information in one particular screen and asking them to perform many actions, it won't be a good user experience. So you always have to make sure you have to organize your content in smaller chunks where users can digest easily. So otherwise they will get confused and they won't follow your process as well. So display information in chunks. This way, it is manageable to users to remember what they consume. So in the left-hand side, we are providing the visualization in 4 graphs. So let's say if they are reading this particular graph and they get some insights, they followed some information, and then they try to look into this graph and again following the other graph. So if they try to follow all these, they won't be able to memorize. So if you can provide this kind of a similar, like simple layout with the visualization and the two visualizations and the buttons on the left hand side, it will be easier for users to follow up and make their decisions based on the visualization they see in the screen. Okay, in Android, toggle keys are limited to 6 in notification panel, reducing the cognitive load on the user. So when you try to go to your settings on your phone, the first scroll they will display is only consist of 6 options. If you want to see more, you have to again scroll down and see the other options they are providing. So on the sliding notification panel, users get a view of quick panel settings where toggle keys are placed in rows and columns, making it easier for users to follow. So even here, these are the quick actions. Otherwise, users have to go to font settings and do these changes manually. So in this way, they can just toggle on and off what is the options that they are requiring to perform certain actions in their fonts. So even here, you can see now this process is also included 3 steps. Number 1 was customer info, number 2 shipping info, and they are in payment selection now. So in the payment selection also, it is actually looks like a physical card. You just have to enter your card detail, card number, and then name on the card, the expiry date, and turn other side to enter the CVV code. Breaking checkout process in steps and creating spacing of card numbers is a good user experience. Okay, now on the left hand side in the sign up form, you have you don't have any categorizations or groupings. So what you can do is on as described on the right hand side, you can categorize or you can group different information that you require like this. Maybe the first part will be the personal information, the second one will be the contact information, and third one will be addresses and so on. So you can group them together for better user experience, and users will get to know what are the information that they should fill up in this particular part. All right. Similarly, serial position effect. This law states that we tend to remember the first and last item in the series. There are 2 main concepts involved in the serial position effect. Primary effect. The tendency to recall the first item is called the primary effect because we require less processing effort in rehearsing the item. Recency effect. The tendency to recall the last item is called the recency effect because our working memory preserves temporary information. So if I tell you a list of places or some list, most of you will only remember the first or the last thing I told to you, because when I telling you the list, the attention you give will decrease by the time. So the first one you will remember, or maybe the last one you will remember. Highlight key information in the beginning and the end by placing the least important information items in the middle of your sequence. Okay, so same thing you can follow in the UX as well. So rather than displaying everything in a similar flow, you can place the important information on top and the bottom. So maybe you can create a heading here and give a small description that not necessary in the middle, and create your call to action button and the right side bottom. So users will get to know what it is about and they will perform the action accordingly, even if they don't remember what is in the middle. So NFS speedometer is one on the right side and the map is on the left side in the display. So the placement is also important. So users get to know, so by following this, they can get to know about the navigation and their placement in the map, and also what is their speed on the right hand side. Instagram bottom navigation home is on the left and profile option on the right side, and all the list of important options are in the middle. So as we discussed earlier as well, so these are the reachable areas for the right-handed person, and for the left-handed person, these are the reachable areas. So Instagram combining those 2 laws that we learned, and they are placing the buttons right-hand side here, the most required buttons, and also even here as well. And in this particular law, they are placing the home button in the beginning and the profile button in the end, and all the least important option in the middle of the screen. So users will remember this is the home button and this is the profile button. So they can visit their profile and see their posts. All right. The next one is the maintain task relevant information within the user interface. Give me 1 second. Maintain task relevant information within the user interface. So if you have applications like in your desktop application also, you have the task relevant information such as the ruler or the grid lines or the page. Even the presentation I'm currently showing you, the PDF, it has all the pages listed down on the left hand side and all the tools on right hand side top and the search bar as well. So it is easy for me to navigate, and every application follows the same standards when it comes to presentations as well. Limit the amount of recall required. So filters chosen by the users. So these are the filters they have chosen in this shopping site, and these are the sorting options that's selected by the user. So if they want to remove this particular size of the shoe, they can simply click on this close icon and it will go away. But other two filters they already selected will still be there. And if they want to sort it, they can simply sort it uh, without worrying about these filters. So these filters will remain until uh, they delete or clear them from here. So limit the amount of recall required. So they don't have to do it again and again to like filter their requirement and buy the product. Emphasize key information in the beginning and end. So in Apple website, they are highlighting or emphasizing key information in the beginning. So it is a product page. So they are providing all the only the necessary information. There's not no too much information. Only the necessary information for users to follow are there. So let's say they're displaying the price and all the features up here. So it will confuse the user. So they're trying to tell the story. So let's say if you go to Apple website and select a particular product, iPad, and when you scroll down the page, it will tell you the story. Why is this product? What is the difference between the last product and this one? What are the benefits I get? What is the technology that they're using? What are the features? And everything they're trying to tell you the story because their story is so good. At the end of the page, people tend to buy their product. So in that case, they are displaying compare products and buy options as well. So other options such as free delivery and what is the services they are providing by using that application, using that product. Next one is Zeigarnik effect. This happens with all of us. When we have some important task to do and when we forgot to do it, we tend to feel bad about it. This is the Zeigarnik effect. It states that we remember uncompleted and uninterrupted tasks more than the completed task. So if you have a LinkedIn profile, I think you already experienced this. So LinkedIn will prompt you with a uh, status bar about your process in the profile. Your profile is 50% completed. Every time you try to log into your LinkedIn, they will prompt you with this message. You have to complete your profile to get better uh, leads or apply for jobs. So that is what they are saying in this particular effect. In here, LinkedIn profile strength meter shows one step remaining for expert profile. So every time you are using LinkedIn, every time you are signing in, you notice this, and we want to complete it. So eventually you try to complete and create a expert profile uh, by following their directions. And even in step tracker, when you applications you use to burn calories or trekking application or anything, they will provide you, this is your goal for the day, how many calories you should burn, how many steps you should take daily. So if you don't complete it, you feel unsatisfaction. So they are using that human behavior or human emotion to get you to fill their application and create a complete profile within the application. So that is one thing. Another thing that you can use in your applications to get user attention and make them do something in your application. Next one is von Restorff effect. It is also known as the isolation effect. This effect predicts that when multiple similar objects are present, the one that differs from the rest is most likely to be remembered. So the highlighted elements like call to action buttons to stand out from the rest of the design, it's easily noticeable by the user. So if you have content rich website like this and you have number of buttons at the bottom, let's say this button is cancel or go back, and this button is our call to action button, something like pay or submit. So if you highlight it with different color to match your design, people will remember it more easily. So they can perform this action easily in the first step. And even if they want to do it again and again, they will remember what are the buttons that they should click to perform particular action in the website or a mobile app. Okay, those are the UX laws we want to discuss. There are few more. If you search on internet about UX laws, they are adding to list in daily basis actually. So if you search and get to know about these, there are websites dedicated to these UX laws as well. There's a website called UX Myths. I will add these links in our Google Classroom so you can follow. So those are the UX laws we are going to discuss in this course. So any questions so far? You can ask. All right, now we are going to talk about wireframing in UI and UX design. Okay, we have one question. Is it a good practice to use multiple colors in your design for backgrounds? So it is actually depending on the use case. So let's say you are developing an application for kids or it is a playful application for youth. So you can use colorful background or multiple colors in your background in that particular use case. But if it is a company or a corporate application, you should avoid that. You should only use one color because your end users are corporate people. So it is depending on your requirement and your target users. Clear? Okay. So a wireframe is generally a monochromic drawing that's created in the design phase of design thinking process. So wireframe, we are creating it in a design thinking process. It provides a blueprint of a page structure, layout, information, and functions. So in the wireframe, what we do is we create it is actually just a sketch where you place your structure, layout, information, and functions in the screen. So it will give you a better high-level idea about the placement of your uh, website or a mobile application and what are the functions and every basic thing you need in your application. This in turn gives a clear idea to the stakeholders about the functioning and visual representation of application UI. Okay. So even you do the wireframe yourself, you can present it to your stakeholders or even the users and give them information about your product and how it functioning, what is the visual representation will look like when you do the final design. So why do UI UX designers use wireframes? Number one, it saves time. So let's say you are starting a design and you are not creating a wireframe and you directly go to the design process and do the high fidelity prototype. And then you sending it to your users as well as your client to get their feedback. So most of the time, the client as well as the users will provide you feedback. They will give like they don't like the design, they don't like displacements of your design, everything. So you again have to fine tune your design in high fidelity prototype, which will take so much of time as well as so much of effort as well. So if you create your wireframes and get feedback from your users as well as your client in the first step. So they get to know that these are the wireframes and this is how we expect the design hierarchy should be. These are the functions, these are the placements in the screen. So you can tell them the story that this is the wireframe I followed to do the design and you approved it already, and this is the final design we did by following that particular wireframe. So it saves time, even though in the wireframing process to fine tune the wireframe, it will take some time. Just so you have to communicate back and forth with your users as well as stakeholders. It will take some time in the beginning, but it will help you. It will benefit you in the end when you are creating high fidelity prototype. Because as I said earlier, the designing is not a linear process. You have to go back and forth. So it is an iterative process. So creating a wireframe will really benefit you in the whole design process. Next one helps gathering feedback. UX design functional testing. So if you have a good sound wireframe, you can gather feedback. Let's say you are doing an application that involves corporate mobile banking application. So if you do the wireframes, you can send it to the corporate people, decision makers and stakeholders and get their feedback. You can interview some users that already using their current application and understand their requirement and uh, do the competitive analysis to gather requirements from other users as well. Do good things that those competitors follow and avoid bad things, like I said. So it will help gather feedback as well. So if when you send your wireframe to your stakeholders, they will give you feedback. So you can fine tune your wireframe and move to uh, create accurate designs. So by taking some time to create your wireframes in the beginning of UX process will help you in the end of your design process as well. So it will give you uh, understanding about your users and it will uh, help you to communicate back and forth with your stakeholders as well as users. And finally, you can create the designs by following those wireframes. So you don't have to start from the beginning. You have a blueprint, so you can follow it and do your designs. So wireframes has three different types. Number one is low fidelity wireframes. Then we have mid fidelity wireframes, something in between low fidelity and high fidelity, and finally high fidelity. So in low fidelity, we call lo-fi. They are also known as paper wireframes, which are created roughly. They do not contain detailed grids, scales, or pixels, but functions, contents, headings, topics are present in a raw form without an accurate structure. So in the low fidelity wireframe, we just sketch the design out to show what the data representation or information representation should look like in the screen. So when it comes to, so this is how low fidelity prototype is done. So this is actually the onboarding process. So the order is level up, then they go to badges, then streak, and then casual finish screen and complete the program. So this is the process. And these are some low fidelity wireframes that the designer did. So these are the options they have in the screen, main options. So you can clearly see it is just a sketch that you can present to your stakeholders and get input from them as well. Then we have mid-fidelity wireframes. These types of wireframes can be commonly used for communication with the stakeholders and end users. So if you are working on a corporate project with a different company, you may be like you won't be able to send low fidelity wireframes. So they will think about like you have to fine tune your wireframes little bit and send it to them because you have to present it to corporate people. So they are expecting certain standard. So you have to make sure you create a mid fidelity wireframe for this particular purpose. But if you are working on a project that only have to share your designs within the team or only fellow designers, you can just do the low fidelity prototype for that purpose. So These types of wireframes can be commonly used for communication with the stakeholders and end users. Mid-fidelity wireframes contain grid, scale, and pixel. Hence, they are more accurate than low-fidelity wireframes. This makes it one of the most used types of wireframes among the UI and UX designers. So, if you are working in a company or your client is expecting you to do a corporate design, it is a good practice to you start off with a low fidelity prototype and fine tune them and create mid fidelity prototypes and send it to them, send them uh, to your clients to get their feedback. So this is how mid fidelity prototypes will look like. So there are certain tools. Even in Figma, you can do this. There are tools like Balasmic and also Pencil. So you can download these applications and easily drag and drop these particular elements and create this mid-fidelity prototype based on the screen sizes or devices that you are creating your application for. Next one is high fidelity wireframes. The low fidelity and mid fidelity wireframes are devoid of feature images and written content. They make an appearance in high fidelity wireframes. With more concrete shape to UI components, this type of wireframe contains the complete blueprint of the design and is the most accurate and almost similar to visual design screen without much of colors. So you can see right here, there are more okay, we are talking about high fidelity prototype, more neat, and also it is using just two colors without no images, but the placement and the hierarchy and the typography is there. So you can easily present them to whoever your end users or stakeholders and get their feedback. So these are some wireframe tools you can follow. This is Figma and this is SketchUp, and this one final one is Pelasmic. So you can get one of these and do your wireframing for your design. So in this course, we are using Figma. So you can use Figma or Figma Jam to create your wireframes. All right. Any questions so far? Okay. All right. The splash screen. The splash screen was born out of a requirement for apps to spend a few seconds setting up before the user can get moving. So for an example, let's say uh, actually the every application we are using nowadays has a splash screen. It is somewhat give a better user experience, but as a developers or a backend developers, it has an advantage for them as well. So while we are showing them showing users the splash screen in the front end, we can do all the server requests and get all the necessary data loaded to the next screen. So for an example, let's say you are using Google Maps application. So the splash screen will show up first and then we will get the map. So all the APIs, all the map designs and the layers will load in the background while you see the animation in the foreground or the front end of your application. So that is the use case of the splash screen. And keep it simple with a short, elegant animation to present your app. So as you came across many of the applications such as Uber or any Google or a Microsoft application, they have nice animations, simple animations to uh, keep you there and while keeping you on the splash screen, they are quickly loading all the necessary information that they want to display in your next screen. So always remember 3-second rule. And if you go over, show a loading indicator. So always you have to make sure if you are not showing a loading indicator or anything, uh, make sure that you have your splash screen only on for less than 3 seconds. So if you want to load more details, more data, always make sure you show them the progress bar, because we always have to make sure we have to let our users know what is happening in the background. So otherwise it is not a good user experience, and they will think that your application got stuck, or the process is hang or anything. They will quit the application and won't use it. So make sure you notify your users about the process happening in the background. Load the absolute minimum data from the server, but making sure you have all the info needed to show the next screen immediately. So if you try to, let's say this is a mobile banking application, if you try to load all the data to the dashboard screen, it will take so much of a time. But if you only load necessary data, and if user click on it only, you request these information from the server and display it in the next screen. So make sure you only send few requests. So if you are using Google like website or anything, one thing you can do is you can see what are the requests that the server is making by going to this network tab. So what you can do is you can switch on this recorder and then load the page. So you can clearly see that all the requests that the server is making and how much time it takes to respond to this request as well. So let's see for an example. So these are all the requests that server is making to load content for this particular website. So you can clearly see how much time in this waterfall diagram it will take in the milliseconds to load particular content. So if you want to show like a content with so much loading time, you should avoid it to show them in the first like dashboard screen. You can show it somewhere else, because it will take so much time that users will have to wait in the splash screen for many minutes. It is not a good user experience and a good practice as a UX designer. So integrate errors into a splash screen to avoid ugly pop-ups. So if you can implement errors such as let's say for a ride-sharing application such as Uber or a Picme, the location access is must. So if users don't have location access on, the application can't continue. They can't load the map. They can't get the position that you're currently in. So what these applications do is they are prompting you to switch on the location to use the application. They are not allowing you to go further without switching on your location. So that is the integrated error in your splash screen to avoid ugly pop-ups. So if they allow you to go to dashboard without switching on your location, they won't be able to load the map or the location details or anything. So it will give you server pop-ups, server errors in pop-ups, and it is not a good user experience as well. Take this opportunity to ensure your users are running an up-to-date version of the app. And if they aren't, direct them to the stores to update. So as you experience, I think most of you already experienced that. So if your application is not up to date, it will prompt you a message. Your application is outdated. You can update it by visiting Google Play Store or Apple App Store. So you can experience their newest features and security updates when using the application. So these are some splash screens. Uber kept it simple, but with a very nice animation to immerse you in the app experience. So this is a Uber animation. For continually changing content, it may be better to load images after the splash has completed. So this particular application uses splash screen and it has a rich image content. So they are using that to load images. So some websites, some front-end frameworks such as Next.js or even Tailwind or even Gatsby.js, they provide images with lazy loading. So for an example, let's say if I go to this website, uh, if the image is taking little time to load, they will load in that way. They just load the different image like SVG image, and it allow it to make the request like this. Lazy loading is something like this. It will only load when you scroll through. So it won't make the request in the beginning, but when user interacting with that particular section of the web page, it will load. So it will reduce the server request and server loading time and provide a better user experience for users. Shazam integrates their logo into their main interface seamlessly. So if you come across Shazam application, so if you want to know what is the song playing in the background, you click on that and tap on the Shazam app and button. It will continuously give you a visualization of like showing that they are listening to your song, and uh, it is their main interface. They are not using any other interfaces. They will display all the information in this particular one screen. And this X Confessions app shows errors and update requests directly in the splash screen to avoid pop-ups. So here they are showing you the internet connection error, and also they are showing you the asking you to update the application by visiting the store in the splash screen itself without allowing you to go inside. All right. So even here, this is one of the quiz applications. I think it is not there anymore. So they have a video streaming content in the background. So the use case of this application is actually they have trivias. So you can participate in these trivias and they are providing winning prizes such as they have daily trivias and they are providing uh, prizes, but you have to participate when it is live. So they have so much of streaming content and everything. So this landing page or a splash screen took some time to load it. So they have to load everything from the like in the back end while users interacting with the screen, and they will show you the splash screen for longer hours. Top reasons people uninstall apps. So these are some of the top reasons most of the users uninstall app. Number one is not in use. So if users are not using your application, let's say if it is a one-time use on the app. So for an example, let's say you have to convert some of your class notes to PDFs. So you download applications such as uh, scan to PDF or some kind of a scan application, and you converted those images to PDF, and then you delete those applications, and you maybe you kept it for some time and you noticed it that you are not using it anymore and you are deleting this application. And next one is limited storage. So if your phone or a device has very limited storage and the application that you are trying to download has is taking so much of memory, you tend to download it rather than downloading the lightweight application. So it is good practice to create lightweight applications that supports every user, because some of the users might have so much of memory in their phones, uh, whereas other users don't have, like they might have limited storage. Next one is excessive advertising. So if you visit a website or a mobile application and it has excessive advertising, you don't like it. So if you try to perform an action and it will give you advertisements again and again, you will uninstall that particular application and try to find a better solution. Maybe free application with less ads, or you may buy the actual application with no ads. Excessive notification. So if your application give you so many like push notifications, like annoying notifications, users have an option to switch off the notifications, but most of the time they delete this application because it is not what they expect by downloading this application, because it is distracting for users as well. Confusion. So confusions comes when they expecting something, and let's say you are putting some product and you are putting some images and you build a good story and you have a good landing page and everything, and your application is not performing the way that users expected it to be. So that with that comes the confusion. So they will uninstall your application as well. And the next one is technical issues. If your application is not like addressing technical issues such as your server is slow and your database is slow, as well as your uh, application taking so much of time to load, the server load, and it has UX errors, as well as the front end is buggy. So those technical issues will lead users to uninstall applications as well. So there are others. So not in use is the number one reason most of the people use and delete applications. So as UX designers, so if it is a day-to-day application, so the main thing that you have to think is you have to get returning users. That is how most of these companies making money. So if they download your application and only use it one time and then don't use it and kept it in your phone, in their phone, it is similar to do it, download it and uninstall it. So you have to make sure you have something in your application that get your users return to it in daily basis, so when they need it. So that is something you have to keep in mind. So that is lecture 3 uh, notes. And then we have, okay, so I introduced you to Figma last week as well. We did a small design. So if you already started with your assignment, you might came across a few issues in Figma as well. So we will discuss about Figma and more Figma practical uh, after 10-minute break. So we'll meet up at 10:40. In the meantime, if you have any questions, just send a message on group chat. Okay, welcome back. We have a question. Can you explain how to make a Google map in Figma? So, I don't know. We actually can't create a full interactive map in Figma. What we can do is we can open the map. I will create a frame here. Delete these two. Right here, I create another frame for the map.
Excuse me, sir. The screen is not shared.
Yeah, I'm sharing it. Thank you. All right, in Figma, what I did was I created this layout and I created a frame for map placeholder, and then this one I will give a fixed width. I'm going to drag it like this. Okay, I'm going to fill the map in this area. So let's say this is the area I want to focus. What we can do is, we can take a screenshot of that area. And then copy it, paste it here. It will give you this kind of layout. So I'm going to put the search bar on top of that. It will look like this. And then we have to give now, in order to make it scrollable like vertically and horizontally, I mentioned this last week, both directions. So you have to go to prototype and select overflow both directions. So it will give you this kind of a screen. And you can scroll. You have to make this one fixed, the search bar, and the other part is scrollable like Google Maps. So that is one way, and that is the only way I think we can use Google Map. We can't embed iframes, so we can't configure dynamic content inside Figma design. So this is one way you can do it. Is it clear? Okay. All right, now we are going to discuss about UI design with Figma. So these are the topics we covered last week and today the first time, color psychology and color theory. Okay, can you show how to add vertical scrolling again? So the vertical scrolling, you can edit like this. Horizontal scrolling, I think it's already clear. In order to add vertical scrolling, what we can do is, okay, let's say I'm going to add vertical scrolling to this part only, this particular division. So first thing you have to do is you have to put whatever the elements inside that should scroll inside a frame. So I added this inside a frame, so it is there. Now what I have to do is I have to make it vertically scrollable. So what you can do is you by default you in the design tab have to go to prototype and then overflow.
Excuse me, sir. Sir,
Yeah.
can you show it with the other screen? Because when I try to do it, like let's say for example, the recommendations, when we scroll up, it goes past the search bar and all those things. So I want to know how to,
Here.
stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let me do the same thing and see. Okay. So in order to avoid that, what you can do is you have to put this okay, this is inside a frame, right? So you have to make sure you switch on this clip content. So if you don't switch on clip content, it will scroll like this. So it will overflow even after your particular frame. So if you switch on this clip content right here, it won't overflow. It won't show up in the upper screen. So is it clear? So this is horizontal, this is vertical. If you can share your design, maybe I can try to, okay, yes, thank you. We talked about color psychology and color theory, typography, style guide last week, UX lessons, creating wireframes this week. And then in UI design with Figma. Introduction to Figma, which we already did, boolean operations, responsive grid layout, auto layout, components, various responsive design. So I roughly talked about this last few weeks little bit, but I will go into more detail today. So introduction to Figma, Figma home screen, community and Figma design file. So this is how Figma home screen look like. So these are all layers. If we create any assets, those will be displayed here like this card. So I told you how to create an asset. We'll discuss it today as well. And here we have all the toolbars we require and all the quick actions and all the menu items file. In the file, we have new design file. Figma Jam is actually where you can create diagrams, affinity diagrams, and so on. So Gantt chart. So those things you can create, sketches, everything. Even the wireframes you can create on Figma Jam. And then we have sketch file. Sketch is actually another UI designing application which work mainly on Mac OS. So after Figma introduced their application, it is not using very much, but it is still using in the industry. So you have place image and video, save local copy, save version history. So save local copy will download you the .fig file and save to version history. You can, if you go here, it has a history like all the edits that you already did. You can go and undo them by creating a version history. And then we have export frames to PDF and if I click on export, if I select this, even here I have export option. I can export as a JPEG, PDF or SVG or even PNG. You can look the preview as well. Okay, and then we have create branch. So create branch is something, if you're familiar with JIT or any other SVN applications, like content maintenance application, you know how to create a branch. So let's say you have this as the main branch or the master branch. So if you want to create a new branch with the same design and same thing, you can click on create branch. So you have to upgrade to create a branch actually. So if you create a branch, let's say this is the main stable design of your project. So you have like 5 designers in your team who working on different aspects of your screens. So everyone will have different branches. So in the end, when everyone is done their designs and everything, like in JIT, if you're familiar with GitHub, you can merge those branches if there's no conflicts. So that is the use case of this particular function, create a branch. So you can create different branch and you can work in on different feature that customers are requesting you, and in the end you can merge it to the main branch, and the main stable branch will be updated. So that is the purpose. And then we have edit, undo, the normal things, and find next. In find, you can search for something. Let's say you have some text content. So it will highlight and show you the text content there. So it will be easier if you want to change some content or look for some division name inside your application. So next we have copy options, copy CSS. So these CSS options will copy if you click on that. So these are the style options, layout and the style. And then we have duplicate. Duplicate is you are duplicating the same design that you already have. Paste to replace means if you copy something, let's say I'm copying this and I click on paste to replace, we'll replace the search bar with the one already in the clipboard. And find next, pick color. You can switch on the color picker and select whatever the color you require, and select all. We'll select all. You can go for Control A or Command plus A in Mac. And finally select inverse. We'll select everything other than one you already selected, the inverse, and select all with different properties. So if you want to select all with this type of font, what you can do is you can go to select all with same font. So it will select all the same fonts used in the application. So you can change the color, you can change the typeface if you like by selecting all the fonts. So that is the edit weave. So you can switch on and off this. So the pixel grid is hidden. So pixel grid is hidden right now. So if I switch on the pixel grid again, so it will show me the grid like this in this one. And then we have layout grids. So layout grids are these red color lines I added inside the layout. So if I toggle it off, it will hide these layout grids. And rulers are the ones on top, and also the y-axis. Show slices. So slices is something like this. So if you try to drag this and drop somewhere, it will show you slices. So it will help you to align it with some other component in the design. So if you switch it off, it won't display those slices. We have comments. So another thing you can do is you can add comments. So when we send this design to our clients or users, what they usually do is they click on this and add an annotation or a comment. So it will be easier for you to read and follow what's wrong and what are the recommendations that users are giving, that your client is giving by using comment tool. Outlines. If you want to show outlines, it will display like this. No images or no components, just the outlines of your design. And there are some other options as well. Pixel preview and show hide UI, multiplayer cursors. If you're working as a team and collaborating project, you can use multiplayer cursors. Open developer mode. So if you switch on the developer mode, it will help you to get all the code for this particular elements that you are using. So if I click on here, it will give me the layout and the style and all the colors and the icons used in that particular component. So it will help developers to easily download these elements, SVGs, and find what are the colors using and get the CSS code to do their front-end development. And that is edit and weave. I think these things are clear. Weave object. So we can group a selection by selecting on that. And I always prefer you to do the framing selection. So it will help you to create auto layouts and make responsive layouts using Figma. Group layout is actually if you are doing a vector design or a logo design, you can group elements. So it will help you to zoom in and zoom out, or a scale and decrease the size of your logo. But in UI design, UX design, always use frame selection. You can convert to a section, convert to a frame, ungroup, use as mask, thumbnail, and these are basic options even you have in your word processor. Bring to front, back, forward, flip, all things. And the text, you have text controls as well. How to remove an asset. I will get back to it after I explaining this part. Okay, all these are clear, I think. So one thing you can do to remove an asset is you have to delete this whole component. So if you, let's say I'm going to delete this whole component. So all the assets created using that component will be gone. So if I add it back, it will be there. So that is how we can remove a component or an asset. Clear? Next one. Okay, community and Figma design file. Yeah, you can create the whole design in dark mode, but it is a good practice to do your design in light mode and finally convert them to a dark mode. But you can still create all the designs in dark mode as well. Okay, Figma community. So in Figma, if you go to Figma community by clicking on this, it will give you this kind of layout. So it is actually every design that your co-designers already did. You can download files and templates and also some plugins and even widgets that developers and designers already created. So if you look for, let's say, portfolio, it will give you all the designs that named that as portfolio. And there are paid and free versions as well. So you can download or get an idea and inspirations to you do your next design by using Figma community as well. And even if you go to plugins, let's say here, okay, we have plugins here. So these are the plugins that I am using, the material design, flags, type tool, augment tool. You can search for plugins and install whatever the plugin that you require in your design. Widgets is also similar because you can use these widgets. They might have pre-designed buttons or toggle switches, images or anything. So you can use these designs in your UI without worrying about recreating them from the beginning. Okay, Figma design file is this. So I think you have a good idea about the Figma design file already. We have layers here, or the layers we are creating on the right hand side. And if they put them inside a screen or a frame, it will group inside a frame like this. So you can access individual elements by navigating like this, or even double clicking on these elements. It will give you access to innermost element as well. And then we have cursor, move and scale option. And then we have frame, section and slice option. And you can create different shapes and place image or video. And if you are doing some vector design or a graphic, you can use these tools, pen and pencil, and then typography, and then the components, plugins and widgets. I already showed it to you. And then we have move button. If you select this, you can move it to move any area in your screen. And finally, the comment section. Okay, so can you explain how all design dark mode? So yes, so if I want to create this, I will take this as an example. So this is my light mode. Change the background color to white or something similar to white to this. Let's say this one is the light mode. So now I want to create the dark mode. Okay, I already have components, these components in dark mode. So if I select this, I can switch on. I think I showed it to you last week how to create components in dark mode as well. So for an example, let's create this search bar component, one with both light and dark mode. So this is the light mode and this is the dark mode. Okay, now I'm going to change the colors inside this. This one is black color and this one will give it this color. Okay, now these are the light and dark mode. So what I can do is I can select these two and create component set. And I can give them names such as the search. Okay, inside search I have two options. So in the default I have search default and both of them are search default. That is why it is showing this message. This property self values variants are conflicting. So if I want to put dark mode, I can either put it by clicking plus icon here, but I will do it like this. Dark mode equals false for first one. False means it is light mode, and next one, dark mode equals true. So if I go here and press on this button, it has dark mode true, and this one is dark mode false. So if I drag and drop the asset here, it has options for me to switch on and switch off the dark modes. So you have to create all the elements like this. Right now I only have these two, so the search bar and the cards. So if you want to make the entire screen dark mode, you have to create each and every component with two variants, like dark and light mode, even for the text. So in that way, you can just toggle on and off your screens, and it will create the dark mode for you. Is it clear? All right. Any more questions? Figma home screen, community, and Figma design file. Now boolean operations: union, subtract, intersect, and exclude. Okay. Now if I create this kind of a design, I will add random colors for the demonstration purposes. So these are two elements I'm going to use to demonstrate union selection, subtract, intersect, and exclude. So in union, it will create a union of those two shapes, and subtract, it will give you the subtract area of these two elements. Intersect, the intersection, and finally exclude. It will exclude the intersection and show me the remaining area. So flatten selection is actually if I go to the layers, it will create a vector. Right now, if I don't do the flatten selection, it will be a two separate layers. But if I do the flatten selection, it will behave as a vector. So I won't be able to like edit this separately, but I have to edit this as one. So I can select and change colors of this, but I won't be able to drag and drop. I like change the size of it separately. I have to do it this way for the both shapes. Then the second exclude responsive grid layout for desktop, tablet, and mobile. Okay. Okay, one thing about Figma is if you want to select a frame, let's say you want to create a website, not a mobile application, website, you can first do the mobile design. So I'm going to select this size for mobile. So I'm going to name it as mobile. And then we can select a tablet size. Let's select this one. And finally, we can go for a desktop. Select this one. All right. So I already mentioned you what like grid layout will look like and how we can create grid layout for several different screens. So I'm going to create columns here, and I need 4 column layout, and the stretch and the margin, the gutter of 20. Okay, I have outer margin 20 and I have 4 grid layouts. So this is the standard grid layout for mobile. So even for the tablet, we can do the same. We can go to layout grid and select columns, and we can create 6 columns and give it a margin as well. Let's do it 20. And for the desktop, we can create 12 grid layout columns, 12, and then margin again, I want 20. So when you start off your design, you make sure you create this grid layout. It will help you to align all of your elements and build consistency even from the beginning in your designs. So this is the grid layout, and then for the desktop, tablet, and the mobile. So as right now, there's a good practice when you are doing UI and UX design to start off with a mobile. So we call it mobile first approach. So in the mobile first approach, what we do is we create the mobile design first. The thinking of it is like this, like most of the users nowadays using mobile devices. So it is actually around 70 to 80% of the internet traffic is from mobile devices. So you have to make sure you optimize your website and you focus on your mobile screens rather than other screens as well. And another advantage of that is when you create the mobile screen, you only add most necessary things and you don't try to uh, like put so many things in the screen because you have very limited screen area to deal with. So make sure you use that screen area and create a good user experience for your users. So after that, we can expand that design to the tab size. So what you can do is you can just copy these things that you have created in your mobile screen and expand and use your space. Maybe you can add description text, or you can increase the size of your images and elements and increase the size of the fonts. So you can do that as well. And finally, you can increase more and you can change it to desktop size as well. So that is how we create designs for 3 different device sizes. And also in Figma, if you put auto layout, let's say I will show you one example. I will call it responsive. Okay, I have this design here, this frame right here, and then I'm going to create a, let's say, I'm going to put this asset right here, this one. I'm going to hide this grid layout for a little while, and then okay, another one. Okay, I added a few of those, and then I have to put them inside a frame. And then we're going to auto layout and line them up like this. Let's put this one auto and this one 10. Okay, this is the layout we have. Now, in order to make it responsive, what we can do is so right now, if I drag it and drop it, it is kind of responsive, but not the way it is centering the elements in the frame, but it is not that much of responsive. So what you can do is you can these are the constraints. So it is centering at the moment. So you can select scale. So if you select scale, so it will scale up like this. So if you change the size of your frame, it will align accordingly. So it is responsive right now. So you can use the same thing, like you design one for a mobile, and then you can make it responsive and do it for the tab and desktop as well in the same design. But as a designer, it is a good practice to give your developers the design in all three sizes so they can easily follow up. Otherwise, they won't be able to uh, like see the difference between those screens and what are the things that they can hide or show. So it is kind of hard to them to follow up if you give them the responsive screen. But there's an option for you to make responsive layouts. So some of the layouts, particularly this kind of a grids, you can make them responsive. So all the other things you have to do for three different sizes, but you can make grids or images or icons, uh, things like that responsive in the screen. Now then, responsive grid layout. Why grid? So we already created the grid. So keep why grid? Keep space and align design constantly, both horizontally and vertically in all pages. So if you create a grid in one place, you can just copy this and paste it in another place and use the same grid layout and do your design. So it will maintain the same consistency that you did your designs previously. So you don't have to worry about the consistency or the placements of your design, and you can just do your designs accordingly. Columns used for horizontal alignment. So columns, as I added here, these columns are used for horizontal alignment, and we have rows for vertical alignments. 12 columns for desktop, 8 for tablet, and 4 for mobile. So in here, we can add 12 for desktop, and if we had a tab horizontally like this, we have to add 8 grid layout. Otherwise, it has to be something like 6 or 4. And for the mobile, we can have 4 columns. Container desktop should be this size. So actually, you don't have to worry about these sizes because Figma is already providing the sizes for different scripts. But if you are doing like CSS and do the front end for your designs as well, you have to worry about media queries. Actually, if you are using a framework such as Tailwind or Bootstrap, they have like libraries for media queries as well. So those are the breakpoints for different media queries. So let's say for this, for this website, if I go here and do inspect, and click on this icon. So I have responsive, I can see how my website will look like in different devices. So you can play with it and you can optimize your website on different devices as well. So this is how it will look like in Pixel and Surface and even iPad horizontally. So those are the things that you can do if you are doing the coding as well in your design. So media queries is something like this. So if I go to Tailwind, it will provide like smaller screens is minimum width should be 640 pixels, medium size is 768, so 640 to 768 is medium, 768 to 1024 is large, X large, and double XL. So those are the screen sizes that Tailwind supports. So you can use these same sizes and square queries, standard sizes in your designs as well, even in Figma, or even when you're trying to do the front end development or the design for your design for your code for your design, I'm sorry. Okay, auto layout. So make frames and component to responsive. So I already showed it to you. So let's say we have a design here. So I'm just hiding this and creating some designs, some boxes actually. This color, and we need more of these. So right now those are underneath each of these. So if I put them in a frame like this and switch on auto layout, it will display them like this. So right now my division is not that large, so that is why they are displaying like this. But if I drag it to fill my layer, it will look like this. So it is responsive and it is following auto layout. So if I want it to vertically align, I can do this, horizontally do this, and wrap them inside the division. I can do something like this. Okay, now in here we have horizontal gap between each of these items. So if I reduce it, you can see the gap between each item is reducing. So keeping it in 20. So if I change this, it will add some padding in x-axis, and if I change this, it will add some padding in y-axis as well. So that is how you can create a responsive layout. And also, yeah, those are the options in responsive layout, and you can make it hug contents and change some of the properties how your design and the container should behave. So if I switch on the clip content, I can see all the content in the design, but I only need it inside my division, so I move it back here and switch off the clip content. Make frames and components to responsive. Okay, so even you can make these components responsive. I showed it already, because when you are changing size of the main frame, it will change the order of them accordingly and behave as a responsive layout. Okay, make reusable components. So I already mentioned you how to create a component, but again, I think I don't have to do it again, but let's create a simple component so you can remember. So I'm going to create a button. So what I can do is I can type what's inside and then click on frame selection and give it some color. I'm going to use this color, and make sure you put auto layout and then add some padding to right and left corners, 20 maybe, and then top and bottom as well, 5. And then let's give some border radius of 10. So this is how my button look like. So let's say this is the default button, and for the mouse over I need something more highlighted, so I'm going to change the color to more darker version of that. So this is my over or active button, and this is the inactive button. For the inactive button, I'm going to use a grayed out button. Or maybe I can reduce the opacity of this one, like this. So in order to create a component, you have to select all three and go to this and create component set. So we have component set. I'm going to rename this as buttons, and then we have property and value. So I'm going to add rename the property name to state, because we have three different button states. First one is default, and next one is over. The third one is inactive. Okay, now we have component set. So how you can add component set is you can go to your assets and drag and drop your component, and you can change the state by navigating and changing the options from here. All right. Variants, one or two dimensional variant. So this is actually one I created is one dimensional variant. So it only has one property. So if I want to create another variant, like I created for the dark mode right here. So it has one dimensional variant, this one, the default. So it is differentiating from each of the components or the variants I'm pasting. And also I have a dark mode. It is actually a boolean value which can be either true or false. So that is two-dimensional variant. And responsive design. So I mentioned it already, responsive designing, how you can do it. So this is a good example that you can create a design by using reusable components and make them responsive. So you won't be able to make everything responsive in Figma, because you have to consider mobile screen and develop design for desktop as well as the tab. So make sure you make responsive the components that you can use, like reusably use in different screen sizes, like these cards I'm demonstrating you. And then finally, okay, so and then after you did your design, if you into coding, like I mentioned you here, you can change the different screen sizes and see your design, how it will look like in different screen sizes. If you try to code it and launch your website. And even here, these are different screen sizes that you should follow if you are doing responsive designs by using your Figma design. You can use the same sizes, like 640 pixels for your screen if you are not using this custom design. So you can create a design and put the width as 640, and let's say height can be whatever the content. If you have longer content, you can like make it larger like this. If you can have shorter content, you can make it shorter to match the screen size. So any questions so far? Okay, Rifat is asking, how is user persona done? Is it done in Figma or drawn by paper and pencil? So you can select one option that you like. So I will tell you how to create a persona using Figma. So if you go here and so they have like layout. So it is actually using ChatGPT for you to create a persona. So you can create a different personas and user boards, as well as affinity diagrams or project management boards by using Figma Jam as well. So let's say you want to, I'm looking for a template. So let's say persona. So if I select this and template, it will give me the basic information, and you can just edit this information to match your user story. So it will display a nice image. You don't have to create it from the beginning. Clear? Rifat? Okay, cool. So okay, next week actually we are going to discuss about this 20 tips to success in your first UI UX design job, and how to get your first UX design job. I will discuss about how to get a corporate job, as well as how to get freelance gigs as well, by using platforms such as Upwork as well as Fiverr, and also how to build your LinkedIn profile, how to network with core designers, and how to stay up to date with design trends. And also the first thing we are going to do next week is to see your presentations actually. So make sure you submit your presentations next Saturday midnight, so we can go through them, and you can like present them to the whole class. And if we have any questions, we will ask in the same time. And yeah, so that is the plan next week. So we will be doing lectures for like 3.5 hours next week, same time, 9 to 12:30. So if you have any questions during this week when you are doing your designs for the assignment, feel free to contact. And if I'm not responding, what should we do? If I'm not respond, I will try to respond somehow. Please make sure if you do your designs by Saturday night, midnight. If you have any questions, you can ask. We have a few more minutes. You can ask any question regarding Figma or UX career or anything. Okay, Nadik is asking, should we turn on our video when presenting? It is actually up to you. If you like to turn on your video, you can do it. But if you can just screen share and present your presentation verbally, it is enough. The deadline is 17th midnight. Yes. Any more questions? We have 4 minutes. So Fatima is asking for extension. So if I extend the deadline for 2 more days, you will be able to present it on Sunday. So I already extended it 1 week. I don't think it's possible. I will discuss with the administrative staff as well. Okay, that is it for today. I will wrap up this session for now. So we'll meet coming Sunday at 9 a.m. Have a good night. Bye-bye.